Let's begin by talking about the prospect of peace in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister is emerging as a key stumbling block in Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan. Since October 7, 2023, the 25-mile-long coastal Palestinian enclave has witnessed violence nearly on a daily basis.
That's right. Despite implementation of the ceasefire in October 2025, Israeli forces continue to carry out military attacks in Gaza. And the status quo is likely to remain as Benjamin Netanyahu has now refused to accept Donald Trump's 15-point Gaza plan.
Israel rejects the 15-point document. The IDF will not carry out any withdrawal until Hamas is genuinely disarmed. In addition, IDF will continue to thwart threats against our forces and our citizens.
The allies in war seem to be divided on peace, not just in Gaza, but also in Iran. Netanyahu has made it clear, with or without an agreement, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon as long as he is prime minister.
I greatly appreciate President Trump and great for our friend in the White House. I greatly appreciate the historic partnership with the United States against Iran's attempts to arm itself with nuclear weapons. I want to emphasize that with or without an agreement, as long as I am Prime Minister, Iran will not have nuclear weapons.
Now, despite Netanyahu's rejection, the International Stabilization Force, or the ISF, is setting up a base at near Kerem Shalom. The facility is meant to provide logistical support and act as a staging facility for the ISF. In fact, the ISF, remember, is tasked to manage security of Gaza as per agreed upon the ceasefire plan. But there appears to be more to this story. Reports suggest that Netanyahu has privately agreed to give the Gaza plan a chance, even though Bibi has publicly rejected key parts of the proposal at a cabinet meeting.
According to Israel's Channel 12 and Axios, Netanyahu spoke last week with Trump's envoy and son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Netanyahu reportedly said he does not believe Hamas would agree to full disarmament, but he was still prepared to give the 15-point plan a chance. He reportedly also agreed to restrict military activities behind the designated yellow line in Gaza. Netanyahu's political survival depends on parliamentary polls scheduled to be held this October. But will he manage to retain power? According to the polls, Trump's Gaza plan is unpopular with Netanyahu's right-wing base, and far-right members of his cabinet have urged him to kill it.
Now, polls are projecting that Israel's race to power is too close to call. Polls are showing a tight contest between pro-Netanyahu and the opposition bloc, but no party is expected to win outright majority in the 120-member Knesset. The latest poll conducted by CAN shows the pro-Netanyahu bloc is expected to win 53 seats, while Netanyahu's Likud is projected to get 24 on its own. The opposition bloc is expected to win 56 seats, with former IDF chief Gadi Eisenkot securing 23, and the former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett winning 13 seats. Arab parties are projected to win 11 seats. They could assume the role of the kingmaker if the polls are proven to be accurate. Until recently, Benjamin Netanyahu campaigned on the strength of his relationship with Donald Trump. But now, their political interests seem to be diverging, as American officials are reportedly treating his public rejection of the plan as political posturing. And so the question is, will the Israeli voters and allies of Netanyahu buy the Israeli Prime Minister's remarks?
Mr. Elijah J. Magnier is a war correspondent and analyst. He is now joining us live on the broadcast from Paris. Mr. Magnier, thank you very much for your time and welcome to the broadcast. Quick question. Do you think this is political posturing by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
Thank you for having me. I think Benjamin Netanyahu said it very clearly. He's not going to give anything to Gaza, to Syria, to Lebanon, not even a centimeter. On the contrary, in Gaza, he is expanding. On October 2024, when the ceasefire has been agreed, 2025, the Israeli occupy 53% of Gaza. Today, Benjamin Netanyahu told us that they occupy 70% of Gaza. We see, as you rightly said in the presentation, more than 1,250 Gazans have been killed, 4,000 wounded. The trucks supposed to come in 600 per day. There are less than a third coming in. So all that is really to create a crisis in Gaza and not to give up not only on an inch, but also politically. Gaza is exactly on the way of the Oslo I and Oslo II, 1993, 1995, where the Palestinians were promised a state, and now Gaza is promised an autonomous leadership by Palestinians, but without the Hamas. Nevertheless, this is not the style of Benjamin Netanyahu, in particular while he's facing the elections in October this year.
Mr. Magnier, and so I want you to, elaborate on what you think, share with us of how the two leaders are differing in their stances, because they started as a unified force, but now clearly Donald Trump has his own priorities with the midterms approaching. He wants this war to end. Vis-a-vis Benjamin Netanyahu, who wants this to continue so that he can score political points back home. How do you see then this entire, dynamic that's playing out and affecting this war?
This is a very intelligent question. In fact, people misunderstand Donald Trump's intention toward Israel. Donald Trump is the biggest supporter of Israel. Nevertheless, he believes Benjamin Netanyahu has become a liability. Therefore, it is in Donald Trump's mentality and politics that Benjamin Netanyahu needs to be removed from power. He said it. And he said Benjamin Netanyahu is not going to be re-elected. And then the Likud party that Benjamin Netanyahu leads said, no, he's going to be running the election and he's going to win. Therefore, everything that the Americans have done is to save Israel's reputation that went into tatters after what happened in Gaza, the genocide, the starvation, the whole world standing against the Israelis, and in particularly the American new generation, many members of the Congress that are Republican and the majority of the Democrats. Today, as Donald Trump said, Israel doesn't have friends, and his vice president, Vance, said America is the only friend of Israel, and he meant this current administration is the only friend of Israel. Therefore, in Donald Trump's mentality, there is a need to save Israel and to clean his reputation. But Benjamin Netanyahu, the author of all these killings, need to come out.
All right. We'll have to wait and see what happens between now and October and also November in the United States.
Yeah.
But Mr. Elijah J. Magnier, who's a war correspondent and also analyst, thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.